This video is intended to show you how to use the counterbore or countersink functions when making a hole. So to begin with, I'm simply going to make a point here on this side of the sketch. I will then use this to make a hole. And here is just a basic hole. I have some options down below here. You can see the outline of each of these holes is a little different. And this one here will create a counterbore. In this case, it would be a full termination going through the entire object. We're going to set a specific distance on this. And then from there are several different numbers that you're able to input to identify exactly what dimensions you want for each of the holes you're going to create. So in this case, it defaulted to 0.375 inches for the top section. This large hole here would be something that you would use to hide a screw or a bolt as you screw into this object, so that the top would be flush and you would not have a raised head screw. It also allows you to set the depth of how deep you want that counterbore to go. I can have the full depth of the object to identify exactly how deep the whole thing should be. And then down here at the very bottom would identify how wide we would make that hole on the interior. So once all those things are set, you would simply say OK. And by rotating and moving this around, you can see how we have our counterbore that would go into that full object. So if I undo that, I could then choose the very same thing, but this time would be a countersink. In this case, this is made for a screw that you want to have flush at the top, but have it at an angle, and it just looks a little different than the counterbore does. So again, I can set my distances and how deep I'd want that to go. In this case, we're going to go to 0.4 inches. And again, I can do a whole bunch here to modify what these numbers are and to identify how big each one of these things would need to be as well. And then I say OK, and you can see how I have an angle to this groove instead of the straight up and down object that you see with the counterbore. So that is how you can use both a counterbore and a countersink when making a hole in an object.